Hey guys, it's John back with another anti-guru video, and today is a video reaction. It's a video reaction to a number of inquiries I've been answering on the variety of different Facebook groups that I am attached to, and it's about Article 4 directions. The title of the video, help! My council have just issued an Article 4 direction. Now, before we get into that, I just want to remind you lovely people, the one viewer that is watching this right now, and those of you watching it on Dave, that I get a kick out of doing these videos, but I only know I'm doing right is when you tell me that I'm doing right. So, leave a comment, like, subscribe, and let me know what you want to see, because this video was inspired by inquiries made by you. It is my way of spreading a bit more of the town planning expert knowledge and experience out to the wider audience. That all being said, let's get right into the meat and bones of this subject and talk about Article 4 directions. So Article 4, or as it used to be known, Article 4.2, provides for a council to remove permitted development rights for specific PD allowances named within the Article 4. Now, I want to just explain that a little bit. There is no such thing as the broad brush Article 4 direction. An Article 4 direction has to be specific to the allowances that it removes. So an Article 4 direction on office to resi, for example, will only remove the office to resi permitted development right. An Article 4 direction for alterations to a house will only remove that right. It will not blanketly remove all of the permitted development rights associated with the general permitted development order for a borough or a region. That simply does not happen. That is not what Article 4 was originally for, and not what it's there to do now. Article 4s can only be brought forward in order to deal with harm. Okay? The harm has to be specific. It has to be, there would be substantive harm associated with the permitted development right were it to be used in any given circumstance. Now, it's really important to understand that, because a lot of Article 4 is brought forward for, I'm going to say, quasi-political reasons. In Portsmouth, the Article 4 direction was brought forward because a lot of residents were becoming concerned about the number of houses that were being converted to HMOs. They put political pressure on their politicians, on their councillors, and the councillors brought forward pressure on the planners to bring forward an Article 4 direction. You can't do that anymore. In reality, Article 4 is brought forward where there is actual harm, and a council has to define what that harm is. Sometimes that harm is, very simply, it would evade affordable housing, and we absolutely need that. Sometimes that harm is that it would result in a massive loss of office space, and we need the office space based on our office needs going forward in the economic land assessments that we've carried out. For new HMO areas, it's very much about the glut of HMOs that have come forward that are either of poor quality or all clustered in one place. In Winchester, for example, they have an Article 4 concerning HMOs, but it's only one estate, because that estate is where all the HMOs in reality are, and to add more HMOs to that area would be deemed harmful. So that's what Article 4 does. It only removes the permitted development right it refers to. Now, I've answered a lot of queries on this subject, and the first question I ask when someone says, well, I've got an Article 4 direction, I can't do that, is, have you read the Article 4 direction? All right? I've seen a lot of inquiries recently where they're dealing with an area which has got an Article 4 control. Generically, it's assumed Article 4 control, And that Article 4 control is specific to certain areas. East Hampshire is a classic example of that. There is an Article 4 control for office to resi in East Hampshire that follows on from their Article 2.5 controls they had until 2019. The problem is that Article 4 control is building specific. It identifies specific buildings that are subject to that control. Epsom is exactly the same. Epsom has building specific Article 4 control for office to resi, the big office buildings inside Epsom town centre. Anything else in Epsom is fair game because the Article 4 is specific to what it controls and where. Article 4 is not a moratorium on development. All it removes is permitted development rights. That's all an Article 4 does. And Article 4 is not there to say we will never allow something. That is the subject of planning policy. So, for example, Doncaster up in the north and Croydon down in the south. They've both gone HMO Article 4. Doncaster went a few weeks ago and Croydon went at the beginning of the year. They are both approaching Article HMOs in those areas now subject to planning control in different ways. Doncaster's emerging policy says no more than 2 HMOs within a street of 20 properties in length or greater. That's easy. That's easy to work out. We can work that out. We can use Nimbus or other tools to look at the HMOs that are in that road. We can check it with local agents and we can propose applications in the right locations. And they're doing that not to cause an over-concentration. Croydon's approach is based on loss of family housing. They don't want to see a loss of family housing in their district because there's been a lot of it. So their approach has been to refuse applications for HMOs which result in the loss of 3 or more bed houses based on policy. Neither are a moratorium on the development. Both are just trying to direct development down certain avenues. Not difficult to understand, not hard. In Portsmouth, where we made our name on dealing with HMOs inside the Article 4 zone, we focused our attention on roads that did not have a glut of HMOs. That's how we beat the policy. We looked at what the policy said and applied it. Very, very simply. The policy says don't do this, so we'll do the opposite. We'll go and do what the policy tells us to go and do. It was a policy that was worded in such a way it was easy to understand. And most HMO policies are worded in that way. That are easy to understand and easy to engage with. So, Article 4 is not a draconian moratorium on development. It is simply a directive that takes you down a line. The other thing Article 4 doesn't do is stop you thinking outside the box. So one of the questions I saw on the Property Expert community Facebook pages was about a sui generis HMO. And one of the thoughts being bandied around was, well, hang on a minute, how does this work in relation to the Article 4 direction? And the answer is it doesn't. A sui generis HMO always requires planning permission. All the Article 4 direction does is remove the ability to change use under your permitted development rights. But there is no permitted development right for a sui generis HMO. And so you would always have to apply the policy, whatever the policy is at the time of writing it or at the time of making that application. So Article 4 doesn't alter or vary the policy control either. It's just a trigger to say for this thing we need a planning permission, and in order to do so we will go and get it assessed against policy, broadly against policy. Where dealing with properties inside an Article 4 zone, the best route is policy compliance, is to check that policy, double check it, triple check it, make sure you comply and do it. Easy peasy. It's a plan-led system after all. Policy, framework, rules, the roost. So go and get it assessed against policy. If the council make a hash of that, then send it before the inspector. Our first 5 HMO approvals in Portsmouth were all refusals. And they were all refusals that went before the inspector and were approved with an award of costs. That was a very expensive year for Portsmouth City Council and its planning committee, who decided to make it up as they went along. Now that council is very, very different. Now that council knows what it's doing with HMOs. It's been well worked, well rehearsed, and you cannot break that policy, because that policy has been reinforced and reinforced and reinforced by good work on either side to make sure it works really, really well. I hope that's been helpful and has answered some questions on HMOs and answered some questions on Article 4 direction and what to do if your planning authority is about to think about an Article 4 direction. Don't forget, they can't just snap one in on you. You would be allowed to go for an award of costs against the council if they were to do so. They have to give you fair warning and fair notice, typically a year before they bring an Article 4 direction into force. I hope that's been helpful. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think about that video. More videos to come on the subject of planning, law and practice. Really enjoying doing these and very much feeding off what you are asking me to do. So if you've got a particular subject you want me to cover, then please drop it in the comments below. I will see you next time on the IT Guru. Have a very good day.